Looshkin is something I don't understand. Bunny vs. Monkey and all my other comics, I kind of have a formula for how I write them, and I'm very used to writing them. Looshkin, I absolutely have to be in the right mood. It's like I'm channeling something. If I'm not in the right mood, the comics don't work and the stories don't work. I think when you write books for children, I think the danger is to think, right, I'm writing a book for a child. And then what happens is you end up kind of sanitizing what you're trying to write. Whereas if you just write what's funny to you, then there's an authenticity that comes out in what you're writing, and it's a lot more fun, it's a lot funnier. So genuinely, I write what amuses me, and if anyone else likes it, then that's a bonus. Absolutely, yeah, the young ones changed my brain, like it changed the physiology of my brain. I don't know what I'd be like if I hadn't seen the young ones. It was huge, absolutely huge. I could recite every word to you at one point. It was brilliant. It's a joy to be able to make stuff that kids might want to read. It's really nice to be on that front line for me personally.
Hello, welcome to another brand new episode of Books on the Beach. I'm very excited about today because we have our first children's author joining the podcast. Amidst a global crisis in children's literacy, this author and illustrator has managed to shift over 2 million books. If you've got kids, you've probably got one of them lying around your house. There's the Bunny vs. Monkey series, the naughty blue cat Looshkin, who my own children adore. And now, Jamie Smart's back with a brand new graphic novel that you can see over my shoulder there called Megalomaniacs. I'm so excited to welcome Jamie Smart to Books on the Beach. How are you, Jamie? How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on. I am honoured and delighted to be here.
Oh, mate. Well, thank you for saying yes, first of all. So let's just get the kind of personal stuff out of the way. I've got a 7 and 10-year-old. They adore the books. So Looshkin is a big favourite. They've now also moved on to your stablemate from Phoenix, Neil Cameron's Donut Squad, so they're doing those as well. And what was interesting was they do at the school, and by the way, we've got some kids from a local school have got questions for you as well to come in this episode. But at the school that my kids go to, they do this brilliant thing called Secret Reader, where they invite parents in, and they don't tell the kids which parent's coming in, and the parent can choose a book to read from. So I did a little bit of Looshkin, and I thought we were going to lose control of the class. The laughter was so loud, and they're really laughing their heads off, and it really resonated with them. So I suppose first question I wanted to ask you was, how do you know when you're getting these comic strip stories right?
That's a very good question. Looshkin actually is Looshkin is something I don't understand. So Bunny vs. Monkey and all my other comics, I kind of have a formula for how I write them, and I'm very used to writing them. Looshkin, I absolutely have to be in the right mood. It's like I'm channeling something. If I'm not in the right mood, the comics don't work and the stories don't work. So I don't know how I write Looshkin. Just something, my brain needs to skew slightly to make it work and make it funny, and that doesn't happen all the time. So
that's really interesting. What does it skew towards? Are you aware?
I don't know. I don't know, because when you tell any story, you need an understanding of the physics in the world that you're creating. So in Looshkin, anything can happen, but it needs some kind of containment to make sure it's not too unbelievable or too ridiculous. And that is something that your brain kind of works out on its own in the background when you're writing stories. But with Looshkin, it's I still don't know what rules apply where. So I have to feel my way through the story and make sure it works, make sure it's funny.
The scene that I read in Secret Reader is the scene where Looshkin's decided to jump on board in the world that we all now are forced to live in, right? And he sets up his own YouTube channel, and he keeps doing really terrible things to Bear, and then going like and subscribe, and that's got the biggest laugh. So that's obviously resonating with a class full of 7-year-olds. Is that a bit of social parody from you, or is that the kind of frame of mind that you're looking at when you do Looshkin?
It's whatever I find funny, whatever tickles me. I think when you write books for children, I think the danger is to think, right, I'm writing a book for a child, and then what happens is you end up sanitizing what you're trying to write. Whereas if you just write what's funny to you, then there's an authenticity that comes out in what you're writing, and it's a lot more fun. It's a lot funnier. So genuinely, I write what amuses me, and if anyone else likes it, then that's a bonus.
Have you got little people in the house where you can road test this?
No, not at all. I would not have time for children of my own. I'm just too busy making comics all the time. So yeah, I don't know how anyone else does it at all.
So there's no committee of you don't say to even maybe a niece or a nephew or a neighbour's kid, you go, listen, can I just show you this? The reason I ask is that we were so fortunate to get the kids to meet Jeff Kinney, Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah,
and I hope Jeff won't mind me telling you this, but as he met my 10-year-old, he ran the plot of the next Wimpy Kid book by him. And I thought, okay, he's doing live market research just before he goes on stage to do a show.
That's cool. That's really cool. I've done that myself at signings. Often kids will ask, "What's the next book about?" And I'll give little hints, and you don't want to give too much away, but yeah, it's nice to give them little previews of what's coming.
Jamie, take us right back. When was the first time that you remember reading a comic strip? What was it? How old were you? And what resonated so much with you about it?
I've always been reading comics. Like I grew up in the 80s where you could go down to the newsagent and the shelves were just full of weekly comics. And it was amazing. I loved it. And I bought all of them, all the Busters and Whoopies and all the Mandys and Jackies and not so much the Commando and the action ones. I didn't really like the war ones, but I liked all the scary ones. You could get horror comics and things like that. So yeah, I was very lucky to grow up in that sort of era, whereas it sort of faded away over the 90s and 2000s. That you didn't really get that anymore. I think I remember my granddad giving me a book of Goons comics based on the Goons TV show. And so things like that, I think, would have slowly seeped into my consciousness and all contributed towards it. But even watching cartoons on TV, I mean, I watched a huge amount of TV as a child, and that all heavily influenced me as well, especially like comedies like Blackadder and Young Ones and things like that. That really influenced my idea of comedic timing, that I found you could put that into comics and tell jokes in very similar ways. So there were a lot of things that kind of pushed me forwards, I think.
That's so interesting now, having read some of these with my kids, and then you mention those, because there's quite a lot of slapstick, isn't it? The comedic violence of the young ones and beds falling through the floor and that kind of thing. You see a fair bit of that in your books.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Young Ones changed my brain. Like, it changed the physiology of my brain. I don't know what I'd be like if I hadn't seen the Young Ones. It was huge, absolutely huge. I could recite every word to you at one point. It was brilliant.
So those are kind of the sense of humour influences, I suppose I'd like to put it. What about, as you're reading all these comic books in the 80s, when was the first time you picked up a pencil yourself and thought, I wonder if I could do my own character?
I think that's one of the joys of comics. When you talk about books for children, with comics, it often looks quite imitable. It looks like something that you can copy yourself. And I've been drawing cartoons and comics as long as I've been reading them, because I think when a child picks up a comic, and especially the simpler the character, the more easy it is to copy. Mine are very simple to copy. It's quite inspiring and almost irresistible to have a go at tracing over that character or drawing your own version of that character. And when you realise, oh, I'm drawing something here, just like the things I like reading, then you can start telling your own stories and you're making your own comics. And I think the two go together. I think reading comics and making comics, not for everyone, but I think for a lot of people, they're intertwined. One influences the other.
But so for me, I was about 14, 15 and started trying to emulate my favourite Viz characters. So I could trace over Roger Melly and Big Vern, no trouble. But then trying to do it without tracing, that was where I was off that trail. At what point did you realise, actually, if you didn't trace it and you did it yourself, that you could actually draw?
I couldn't pinpoint a moment, but me and my friend used to trace Garfield books all the time, where you get a piece of tracing paper and you trace over Garfield, and then you turn the paper over and then rub it onto a blank page, and then it would transfer it over, and then we'd make our own comics out of that, and then we both started drawing our own comics. And I don't know, I think it's the passion and the drive to just keep doing it, and then slowly you think you're getting a bit better and your confidence is growing, and it's a journey, definitely.
So you mentioned that tracing paper thing. I did that as well. That was, I think we're probably a similar vintage. But do you worry that kids now just aren't doing that? I mean, they're all on tablets, and they're just, some of those arts of just pencil and a bit of paper, a bit of tracing paper, a bit of pressure on a pad, that's all disappeared?
No, I don't think so, because when I do workshops, comic workshops with kids, and I meet a lot of kids, an awful lot of kids. I just did a workshop for 800 kids on Saturday, and what we were doing were drawing the same thing as each other, pencil on paper. We were all I think maybe one or two had tablets, but most of us were working on paper. I see that a lot. I see a lot of children who bring in scraps of paper that they've drawn on, very old school, very analog, and they love it. And it's a really intuitive thing to do. There's something very deeply buried inside the human psyche to want to put marks on a sheet of paper. So no, I think kids love it, and they love the ease of being able to pick up a pencil and apply drawings into the real world. It's quite mind blowing when you think about what you're doing, the emotions you're conveying. And I think they find that quite irresistible. So no, I don't. I think tablets had this boom in the early 2000s, 2010s, when it was all ebooks and things. And I know a lot of comic publishers were thinking about, how can we put comics onto tablets to engage kids? And it never really took off. I don't think it quite worked. I think the things that are working are the printed, the tangible sort of comics. I think they're the ones that have stayed the course, as it were.
Why do you think that is?
Just because it feels really nice to hold a comic. It's that paper feel of flipping through a comic, and there's a disconnect between your eye and the screen that there isn't with a fold out comic that you can just lie on the floor and read through. It's a very comforting sensation reading a physical comic.
We haven't even touched on Megalomaniacs yet, and we will, obviously, but I'm conscious that I'm dominating your time, which is fair enough. It's my podcast. But I did a month ago say to parents who followed the Instagram that they could submit questions from their kids. So let's have the first batch of questions and we've got quite a few of these for you, by the way. You're a very popular man. Let's start with Miles. Go ahead, Miles. What you got for Jamie?
Hi, Jamie. It's Miles from Stoke. Which of the characters from Bunny vs. Monkey would you say you're the most like, and why?
So which of the characters from Bunny vs. Monkey would you say you're most like, and why?
Well, thank you, Miles. That's a very good question. I would say I think every character in Bunny vs. Monkey is based on a bit of my personality. I think that's how you come up with good characters, if they're based on a bit of you, because then you know how to write them. But I'd say out of all of them, Bunny is probably most like me. Bunny's like the hero who just wants a quiet life, just has to deal with all this chaos going on around him. And I think we all feel like that sometimes. We just want a quiet life. We want to just go and read a book in the corner. So yeah, I identify with Bunny most of all.
Miles asked me to show you his recent World Book Day outfit. So we'll do that now, Jamie, and see if you can guess who he went dressed as for World Book Day.
Okay.
That's picture number 1.
Oh, is it me?
It's you, Jamie Smart. Yeah, he has gone dressed as you, and he's done the beard and everything, which I love.
He's drawn on the beard. He's wearing a Nirvana t-shirt, which is very on point. This is great. Wow. And he's wearing a black hoodie, which I'm wearing at the moment. Yeah, that's amazing. Well done. You got me.
Well done, Miles. Yeah.
Yeah,
the man himself
incredible.
is very impressed. That's great work. And he's having to go at drawing his own cartoons there, which is great. Well done, Miles. You've impressed the man himself. I now want to know who Miles is going to go as next year. Who are you going to impersonate next year for World Book Day? That's your next mission to tell us about. Right, let's hear from Stanley.
Hi, Jamie. I'm Stanley from Manchester. My question for you is, out of everybody in all 3 of your Looshkin books, which character are you most like?
Well, thank you, Stanley, for the question. Who am I most like in the Looshkin books? Probably, I don't know. I think there's a similarity between Bear and Bunny in Bunny vs. Monkey. They're both characters who kind of just want to be left alone. And in Looshkin runs around setting Bear's head on fire and chasing him with spatulas and things like that. So I think they're kind of similar characters in a way. So I guess Bear, but every now and then I'm a Mr. Frogbert as well. It can vary.
I now want to just make sure that you're okay, Jamie, and that no one is setting your head on fire at random points of the day.
No, it's never happened. Fortunately, I'm doing all right so far.
Good. So what are those flames coming out the top? Right, let's go to possibly our youngest interrogator for the episode, Jamie. This is Orson.
Hi, Jamie. My name is Orson from Battersea. And what my question is, why don't you put a nice monkey in one of your books?
Why don't you put a nice monkey in one of your books, Jamie?
No one's ever asked me that. Thank you, Orson. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. There have been other monkeys in there. So just for anyone who's never read it, Bunny is the good guy and Monkey is the bad guy, and Monkey just runs around causing chaos. There has been a more evil monkey come into the story, which then by comparison makes Monkey seem not so bad because there's a worse version of him. But yeah, you're right. There should be a nice. Every now and then, Monkey gets a bang on the head, and he turns into a nice version of himself, or that sort of cartoon cliche of turning into your alternate personality. But yes, no, that's a very good idea. I would take that on board. Thank you very much.
Right, Orson's got a big sister called Ottie, and she said if he's getting a question, I want a question. So Ottie, it's your turn.
Hi Jamie, I'm Ottie and I'm from Southwest London, and my question is, what's your favourite funniest moment in one of your books?
Well, that's a good one. So favourite funniest moment ever from any book of yours?
Thank you, Ottie. That is a very good question. Let's see. So in the last Bunny versus Monkey book, which is called Intergalactic Monkey Business, there's a comic about a monster called the Bungamungus, and it's basically this huge. It's kind of like a snake, but it just has a massive mouth at one end, and it just eats things, and it's disgusting and it's gross, and it eats some of the characters. I always found that quite a funny monster, just because once you're eaten, you have to work out which end you want to try and find your way back out of, and both have their hazards. So you could go out the front or you could work your way back out the back. So yeah, that's quite a disgusting, gross monster, and I found that quite funny.
Do you quite like disgusting things? I mean, I know you've alluded to some of your comedy influences, but is that the kind of thing that makes you laugh?
Yeah, it is. It's bogies and custard and farts, and it's all that. I grew up reading Oink, which was
I remember Oink.
Yeah, one of the weekly comics. It kind of had a little bit of Viz in it, but it was very much its own thing, and it was quite violent for a children's comic and very rude and really anarchic in very much in the sense of the word. I'm amazed it got some of these jokes got through. But yeah, that was a big influence on me as well. So.
Do you ever? I'm only asking you this question really for me, right? Do you ever have a moment where you clock your own age and think maybe I should stop finding farts quite so funny? Or do you think they'll always be funny, Jamie?
I mean, they're always funny to me. In my family, we never laughed about farts. It was never a thing. So maybe that's why it was funny to me. Whereas my partner's family laugh about farts all the time. I think if your family finds farts funny, you could go either way.
So was it off limits then? If kind of someone dropped one when you were a kid, was it just a bit British?
No, it's none of that. It was it just wasn't mentioned or brought up, or so maybe I've just gone all in as an adult and dedicated my life to them.
I love that so much. Right, final one in this batch. We'll have some more later on in the episode, but let's hear from Noah. Noah, where are you?
Hello, Jamie. I'm Noah from Pontefract. What is your favourite Bunny vs. Monkey book, and why? And will there be any more future Bunny vs. Monkey books?
Oh, 3 questions in one there. So your favourite Bunny versus Monkey, why? And will there be any more?
Hi, Noah. My favourite Bunny vs. Monkey book is, I think, book 10, which is called The Great Big Glitch, which is where they realise that the world and everything they live in is all a facade, and it gets quite existential, but they all turn into amplified versions of themselves, and that was so crazy and fun to come up with. As for whether there'll be more, well, we've done 11 so far, 11 Bunny vs. Monkey books. We are just putting the finishing touches to book 12. We have book 13 in the can, and at the moment I'm writing book 14, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, there's plenty more on the way.
So when will we get our hands on 13?
So they tend to come out towards the end of the year. So I think it's usually October, November, just around then.
And you're writing 14 for October of 2027?
2028.
Wow.
Yes. So there's one a year, and they come out at the end of the year. But we do other like spin-off books, like we've had a joke book and a Bunny vs Monkey activity book, and we've got another special one that I don't think's been announced yet for this year. So we do special Bunny vs Monkey books alongside that as well.
Would you like to announce it right now?
I don't know if I'm allowed to. I don't know when the official announcement is. I'm literally working on it now. It's on my desk now, but
Who is the person who's got so much power that they can tell Jamie Smart off? Who is that person?
I don't know if I get told off. I just don't want to take the wind out of anyone's sails.
Yeah, no, I've already teased.
They might have planned it.
You're so prolific, aren't you? Do you think you're prolific? I mean, what's the volume of stuff that you're knocking out? Because if people are not aware, it's not just we're focusing on the books today, but the Phoenix Comics really is where a lot of your artwork appears, and they're subscription comics that come out weekly, aren't they?
Yeah, so the Phoenix is like a weekly comic for children, and it's been going more than 10 years. I think it started in 2012 or something like that. And to last that long in this climate, and to just keep plugging away and saying, no, children love comics, here are amazing comics, is an incredible achievement. And I've been working for them, I think, since the beginning. So yeah, for about however many years that is, over a decade. And in that time, I've been making Bunny vs Monkey pretty much every week. And so as a result, we could collect together the previous year's strips into one book. And so the books collect together the strips from, however many episodes. So we've been able to, we've had a lot of material that we could put into the book. So it looks like I'm putting out a lot of books over the last few years, but actually a lot of it is from the last decade, if that makes sense. But alongside that, I am constantly making new stuff as well. I'm always working on Looshkins or Megalomaniacs or Bunny vs Monkeys, or I have a comic strip called Hero Slam in there at the moment. Yeah, I'm always working. I work too much. I'm trying to tone it down a little bit. I'm really trying to enjoy a day off here and there, but it's just, the problem is when I start having time off, I get really excited about ideas and I really want to get back and get on with them. So
I find it's when you have your day off, or for me, it's when I go for a run. That's when you can get a really good idea because your brain's more at rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Think, well, if I don't write it down now, forget it.
Yeah, if you're plugging away at an idea, and it's that thing about staring at a blank sheet of paper, it's not going to fix anything. But if you go for a walk, often your brain just mulls it over in the background, and then by the time you've come home, it's figured everything out.
Right, listen, it's over my shoulder just there. Who or what are the Megalomaniacs?
So the Megalomaniacs is my brand new comic series. And it's about all these tiny little aliens who crash land on Earth, and they want to take over the planet. But on the journey, they've all shrunk down to tiny size, so they're really small and cute, and they're terrible at taking over planets. They're all different from each other. So one is like a vampire skeleton, one is like a zombie, one's a robot, one's a snowman. Each alien is different from the other, so they're very sort of collectible kind of characters. And I think there are like 20 or 30 just in the first book alone, and they're all kind of running around trying to blow each other up and chase each other and shout at each other. And it's just very silly, very gross, very nonsensical. And they get one of them gets quite close to taking over the town, at least, the town that they all land in. Well, I won't spoil the end, but it doesn't go well.
Do they kind of join forces like some evil Avengers assembling, or are they all individuals?
Well, they do. That's what I really like about it, is that some of them can have rivalries with each other, but some of them can team up. When you write an ensemble sort of story which has so many characters in it, you kind of need to find just a core bunch of them that you can focus on. And that's what I've done in Megalomaniacs. There are 5 of them that we just keep revisiting, and they kind of reluctantly come together as a team. They don't like each other at all, but they kind of stick together because everything else going on around them is, so explodey. So yeah, it hones in on 5 in particular. But what we get to do is kind of like this monster of the week thing where we just keep throwing brand new characters into the mix and seeing how they mess things up for everyone. So it's so much fun.
So I've been reading this in bed with the 7-year-old, and again, he's laughing his head off. And you change characters quite quickly in the pages. And there's part of me, I suppose, well, I'm not growing up's the wrong phrase for me, but as an adult, that thinks, blimey, there's quite a lot of characters coming thick and fast here. But then I think, well, that's how my 7-year-old's brain works. He'll tell me 5 different things in one sentence. So
yeah, well,
that's that right.
That's how my brain works. What the benefit of working for the Phoenix is that I do 2 pages. So Megalomaniacs was in the Phoenix. I do 2 pages for the Phoenix every week, and then we collect them together into a book. So what you're doing is you're making a 2-page episode, and then you're collecting it together in a book. And what happens then is the books have lots of little strips, lots of little comic strips in them that have a story arc if you read the whole book. But if you want to, you can just pick up the book and read a strip, like 4 or 5 pages on its own, and get a story out of that. And that's what I really like doing, because I have such a short attention span. It really helps me to do these very quick fire sort of comic strips. If someone sits me down and says, can you write a 200-page graphic novel? That's hard. That's really hard to work out a story and keep people's interest over 200 pages. But because I'm doing it episodically, it's so much easier for me to, just quick fire jokes at you, basically.
Well, and great for bedtimes as well. I mean, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you, it's difficult because you're clearly, I can tell you love what you do, and you're doing this out of genuine passion. So I don't want to make you the spokesperson for all of children's literacy, but do you feel there's a growing problem of kids not picking up a book? And previously, might a graphic novel have been sneered at by an educator, whereas now a lot of the teachers at my kids' schools encourage it because they see it as a gateway into other books? Yeah,
I find it a bit hard because I don't want to be a spokesperson, because I don't have all the facts and figures to hand. I just want to make my own silly comics, and but naturally, when you start doing well, people want your opinion on literacy levels and things like this. So basically, there are people far better qualified to answer that question than me. What I would say is that comics are often called a gateway into reading, especially for reluctant readers. I've had quite a few parents come up to me at signings and say my child would not touch any book at all until they found a comic, and now they just read voraciously. I'm always very careful to say they're a brilliant gateway, but they are also a storytelling device in their own right. I mean, you can read comics the rest of your life. You don't need to use them to bounce onto other sort of books. They're an incredible art form. And I'd really hope that kids that read comics stay reading comics forever and then make their own comics and, what have you. But yes, absolutely. If a kid is struggling with reading, a comic is a just ideal way to engage them, because it's so bright and so visual and so immersive that it can trick them into reading a story. Let's put it that way.
See, I've had parents say to me at the school gates, I can't get mine read. I mean, now, have we been fortunate, or have we done it by design? But both of ours are in a very strict bedtime book routine, and they've burned through books, and they've done the Roald Dahls and they've done the Mr. Men's in the early years. And then, we should shout Julie and Clary out, because the Bolds books, I don't know if you've read those, but they're superb, about the family of animals that try and pass themselves off as humans. They're really good. And now my kids have discovered your books. But I know other writers have said to me during interviews, just make sure they read. It could be anything. Just make sure they read. That's the important part, isn't it? Not to be prescriptive about what they're picking up, but make sure they're reading something.
I'm sure, like me and like a lot of people listening to this, that the books you were told to read at school are the ones you now hate because they were forced on you. I was made to read Great Expectations and Catcher in the Rye, and I can't stand either of them now. Whereas at school, they wanted a book report, and my book report was on the Red Dwarf omnibus, which I loved, and they gave me an E, and they said that's not a proper book, and I was like, oh, for goodness sake. So yeah, as long as they're reading whatever they're reading, and as long as they want to be reading it, an absolute joy. And if they're not, well, maybe they'll find it a little later on. Everyone comes to these things at different points in their life. It's a joy to be able to make stuff that kids might want to read. It's really nice to be on that front line for me personally.
Let's hear from more of your fans then. These are more kids who've sent questions in for you. And first, I think we've got a couple on Looshkin, actually, Jamie. First of all, from Arthur.
Hello, Jamie. I'm Arthur. I'm 6 years old and I live in Manchester. And my question for you is, are you going to make a 4th Looshkin book?
Oh, that's a very good question, Arthur. So yeah, there have been 3 Looshkin books so far. I am desperate to make a 4th one. I need to find the time. A couple of years ago in the Phoenix, we did a comic strip called King Looshkin, where Looshkin lived in the Middle Ages and was a king, and all the characters lived around him, and it was all kind of Middle Ages kind of comedy. I don't know why, I just found out a really funny idea, and I would love to make a book out of that. So if we do a 4th one, it's going to be King Looshkin. But I need to find the time. I'm hoping the second half of this year, I'm going to carve out some space and really get into doing Looshkin again.
I think if I look over your left shoulder as I look, but your own right shoulder, can I see Looshkin? There is a Looshkin.
Yeah, there's a little Looshkin stuffed toy I've got in there. Yeah, he watches over me. He holds the spatula. Make sure I keep working.
Right, Herbie's up next with a Looshkin-based question too. Herbie, go ahead.
Hi Jamie, I have a question for you. Why does Looshkin always try to hit Bear? Like here.
Why does Looshkin always try to hit Bear like here, Jamie?
Why does he do it? I don't think anyone's actually asked me that. I don't think even an editor's ever asked me, why is this happening? I don't know.
Boredom, mischief.
I thought it was funny. The thing about Looshkin is he's an anti-hero because he causes all this chaos, but he's not. There's no malice in him. There's no hate. There's no villainous traits in him. He's purely just doing what he finds funny at any given time, and it just happens that Bear tends to be in the way of it. So that's what I like about Looshkin, that he's an anti-hero, but there's no meanness in him. He's just crazy, basically.
Also, I think if I was still a little boy and I had a teddy bear that robust, I'd be very happy because most of the ears fell off mine and I fell out, a button fell off. He's very robust, isn't he? He withstands a lot of. That's
the thing. There's a whole backstory to Bear, that he was made hundreds of years ago, and he's lived through great periods of history. I don't know if I've told all these stories, but there are a lot of stories of him, like in the Jane Austen era in World War II and things like this. And he's lived a very long life, and yet he's still here. So yeah, he can survive anything, I think.
Let's hear from Belle next on Books on the Beach. Belle, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Belle. I'm 7 years old. My question is, how does Bunny rebuild his house when Monkey knocks it down? In Bunny versus Monkey.
Belle, thank you. That's kind of a running gag that Monkey often destroys Bunny's house, and then in the next episode it's just rebuilt, ready to be destroyed again. I've done a few episodes that have kind of addressed that. There's been one where they all team together to build the house. There's been one where Skunky, who's the inventor, invented a thing that reversed time in just a specific area. So he pointed it at the rubble of the house, and the house sort of rebuilt itself to how it was before. So I've kind of alluded to that here and there. But I don't know. It's that great comic cliche of just everything goes to pot by the end of the episode, and then by the beginning of the next one, it's all back how it was. Yeah, I kind of like that.
Belle's one of a number of kids from the nearest school to the studios in South Manchester where we're framing this. So a big thanks to Miss Silver for helping to get some of these kids to ask questions for you. I think James is also from that school. James?
Hello, my name is James. I'm 7 years old, and my question is, does Monkey ever properly achieve monkeyobia in Bunny vs. Monkey?
Wow, does Monkey ever properly achieve monkeyobia? First of all, Jamie, what is monkeyobia?
Well, the premise of Bunny vs. Monkey is that Bunny was minding his own business, that was it, in the woods. And then Monkey was fired over from a space program that was trying to fire a monkey into space, but they didn't send him high enough, so he just crashed into the woods. But he thought he'd landed on another planet, and he thought he was going to take it over and call it Monkeyopia, and it was going to be his planet. So he has this constant effort to try and declare everything Monkeyopia and plant his flag into things. And he's managed it in little ways. I mean, it tends to all fall apart invariably, but certainly in the last book where they go into space, he found a whole planet and he called it Monkeyopia. It went horribly, horribly wrong, and everything got destroyed. So if you haven't read it, I won't spoil it. But he manages to make Monkeyopias here and there, but they never last.
Okay. Finally, for this batch, we've got George. Now, I hope you're ready for this, Jamie, because I'm not sure if this is so much a question as a personal challenge. George, go on, throw the gauntlet down.
Hi, I'm George, and I have a challenge for you. Can you draw a character right now?
Can you draw a character right now? Have you got anything to hand? And can you draw and talk, or do we have to pause the interview? How's this going to work?
Well, actually, I am sat at my desk at the moment, so this is quite convenient. I have a sketch bag. I always have a sketch bag, and I always have pens. I have rows of pens around here. So yeah, I can draw a character. I could draw like a monkey very quickly. I can draw and talk if you want me to.
Okay. That would be cool, because what I'd like to know is you've talked about the tactile nature of comic books and how you hope they'll continue. If, let's say, George, who's 7 right now, wants to become the next Jamie Smart, is it the same routine as the route that you took, or would it be a different path now?
I mean, I grew up when there were fax machines, and that's how I used to send my work off to people, and I can't imagine the children of today know fax machines. There's a quick monkey that I've
drawn.
Look
at that. I mean, that took about 20, 30 seconds. That's incredible.
So, well, I felt I was under pressure to...
Maybe we should do this all the time, and then you'd churn out even more books.
Oh, absolutely. No, if I can be working and talking, that's ideal. I used to, what did I do? I used to send my work out to everyone and anyone that I could find, all the publishers, all the agents, all the magazines, everyone. I just used to make my own comics and then just send them out to everywhere. And everyone said no, invariably, because they tend to. But every now and then you just get a little yes or a maybe, or, you start to break through. But the key was always just loving what I was doing and making my own things. So I wasn't trying to make things to appeal to the magazines or the comics or whatever. I was just making my own stuff, coming up with my own characters, and really, really plugging away at that. And as long as you're passionate about it and you love doing it, then it kind of didn't matter if I got published or not, because I was going to keep doing it anyway. No one was going to stop me. So I made endless comics all the time.
So as you were doing that, is this when you were a kid, or are you an adult and do you need to pay the bills? And how are you paying the bills?
No, so this was when I was a kid. So all the time, so I started making my first books around 9 or 10, I think. When I got to sort of 14, 15, I started to get little commissions here and there from family, friends and things like that. But I was still making a lot of comics. And
what age were you when you were first published, Jamie?
I was 19, I think, when I was properly published. I did there was a cookery magazine, and I did a little comic strip in the cookery magazine, and that was the first time I got to walk into a shop and open a magazine and see my comic, and it was mind-blowing. It was the most exciting thing in the world, and
that's so cool.
Hooked from that point.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so when did because I'm old enough to remember the Fun Day Times, so when Mum and Dad got the Sunday Times is still like a wedge, isn't it, when you buy it, but there was a kids section in there called the Fun Day Times, and you did that for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I worked on the Fun Day Times when would that have been? 2003, 2004. I did a strip called Space Howl, and it was the centre page strip, so there were 2 large pages of comics, and I used to hand paint it all, which took me weeks and weeks and weeks. So this is very much in the old days. But the Fun Day Times came back last month just for a special one-off issue, and they brought together an awful lot of comic artists, a lot of people from the Phoenix, and they made a one-off issue, and I got to draw the front cover for the Fun Day Times, which is obviously quite a dream come true. And I don't know if they're going to keep doing it. I really hope they would. I mean, to have a comic supplement in a national newspaper every week would just be incredible, and it would engage so many kids, and it would just... Why not? Let's do it. What better use for money than making comics?
So how would, going back to little George who challenged you there, how would he get, I mean, I don't know if he wants to do this or not, but let's say someone of that age, how would they replicate what you did? Given, as you said, you grew up in this comic-rich environment which doesn't exist anymore, where would you be sending your drawings off to now if you were 15, 16?
That's a very good question, actually. I think we're in a boom time at the moment where children's comics are really having their day again. I think over the last few years, especially with Dogman and Investigators and Bunny vs. Monkey and, one or two others, they're kind of, a lot of publishers have seen this and gone, oh, well, great, we need to start making comics too. And as a result, they're finding some incredible comic creators, which is wonderful. And they're trying out new talent. And so it's actually a really good time to start sending your work to children's publishers generally, because comics are, I don't want to say trendy, but they're kind of zeitgeisty at the moment, children's comics. So yeah, it's a good time to do it. There are other ways. I mean, you can post your comics online. What you can do, and what a lot of people do, is small press comics, where you make your comic and then you get it printed yourself, and you might print loads of copies of it, and then you go to an exhibition like Thought Bubble or Yo Comics, or there's one called Mac Pow. It depends where you are in the country, and they have these comic conventions where you can hire a table and you can sit there and you can sell copies of your own comic, and that's an amazing way to meet new readers, to meet other artists, to get a feel for people reading your work. I've seen kids doing that. I mean, obviously accompanied by their parents, but I've seen kids 12, 13, 14 doing that. There's an awful lot of kids out there trying to make their own comics and selling them, and it's a really, really cool way of doing it.
You seem quite chilled to me as we speak. How have you made sure that success hasn't translated into pressure on you to keep churning out more and more and more? How do you make sure you're still loving it?
I'm falling apart inside. That's how I do.
Don't tell me that.
No, I'm not. I'm joking. I really love doing it. Like I say, if I ever have any time off, I just want to get back to it. It's been amazing to be successful. It's everything I could have dreamed of as a kid drawing comics. If I could see me now, I'd be over the moon with how things have gone. But I just love making comics. There's no way around it. I can't, like, even when I make other types of children's books, I've done sort of children's novels, and I've done preschool books, and they've been really fun to do. But when I come back to making comics, it's always, that's where I belong. I love it. There's no other way to answer it.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that, and my boys will be delighted to hear that as well, because it means there'll be many more to come. Let's have the final batch of questions then, because we were so inundated. I want to make sure all these kids get the chance to put their questions to their hero. Let's start with Max, who's also from the school nearby here.
Hi Jamie, I'm Max and I'm 10. I really like your comics because they're really funny. What inspired you to make them? Bunny vs. Monkey is my favourite. Bye.
Really likes them. Nice way for you at the end. What inspired you to make them? We kind of covered it a bit here, haven't we? But are you able to add to that for Max?
Yeah, thank you, Max. What inspired me? I realised it was a really, not an easy way, but a good way of telling stories. I was a very shy child. I was very introverted, and it was a really nice way to express my emotions or how I felt to the world. And even now in Bunny vs. Monkey, I explore ideas that perhaps I don't know how to talk to people about. Ideas about grief and, quite heavy things, but couched in this kind of cutesy, comedy sort of way. There's nothing too heavy. But it's really nice for me to be able to communicate with the world through the comics I make. And I think even as a very young child, I realized that quite quickly. This is how I talk to the world. And I think it's a really nice tool, especially for shy children, to be able to express themselves.
We've got another Max, this time from Somerset.
My question is about the great big glitch, is how do they actually get glitched? How do they become glitched?
So this is another Bunny versus Monkey question. The great big glitch. How do they become glitched?
It's a very good question. It's about this idea called simulation theory, that we're all living in a simulation, and it's not. I don't believe it, but a lot of scientific ideas, science fiction ideas, I really love bringing into Bunny versus Monkey and just playing around with them, just because they're fun ideas. And so in the glitch, it's about Bunny and Monkey realizing that everything is kind of being controlled by someone, by the humans, rather than them, and it's all imaginary. And then it goes kind of Inception-like towards the end. They start jumping through different realities. And as to how it happens, I mean, it does answer it in the book, I think. However, in recent comic strips that I've been drawing, it kind of alludes back to it, that maybe that wasn't answered properly and that maybe there are still things to explain. And I like that, because sometimes I know what's going to happen and sometimes I don't. And it's nice just to lay a few seeds here and there and then be able to pick them up again later on. So yeah, I hope that's a suitably ambiguous answer for you.
Very nicely done, sir. Yeah. Now, next question. You mentioned Hero Slam, didn't you, in the beginning of this interview? So I think Milo wants to know a bit more about that. Go ahead, Milo.
Hi, Jamie Smart. I am Milo and I am 8 years old. I just wanted to ask, you have made your new Hero Slam comic. Are you going to make a Hero Slam book? And if so, when?
That's a man who's keen to get more of your work. When?
Thank you, Milo. Yeah, so to explain, Hero Slam is like a card game that I brought out last year, and you basically collect heroes. There are 50 different types of heroes, and they're all weird and wacky and what have you. And then you journey through this forest and you try and defeat the villain at the end, and it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but a lot simpler and a lot sillier. And I loved it. It was a dream come true making a card game. And we've been making a spin-off comic in the Phoenix that's been running in the Phoenix. We've done about 30 episodes so far. So we just want to get to about 40 episodes and then we'll make a book. But that might be a year or two down the line. It's finding the time. But Hero Slam itself, the game, we're still working on things for it. So we recently announced an expansion pack for it. So there'll be more hero cards, more villains, more side quests, more power-ups, things like that, that you can add to your original game. So I'm building this little world outside of comics, which is so exciting. And then to come back into comics and then tell the stories in this world, it's very kind of, I'm back and forthing a lot, but it's amazing. I'm loving it.
It's a great question, Milo. So the answer is, it is coming. You will get what you want, but you just got to be a bit patient. Right. Another Milo? How many Milos can we get in one episode? This one's from Seven Oaks.
Hi Jamie, I'm Milo from Seven Oaks. My question is, where did you get your inspiration for your comic books from? Thank you.
Great. On brand as well with the T-shirt there.
Yeah, thank you, Milo. My inspiration, so when I was a kid, I mentioned Oink already, but I also really loved a comic called Calvin and Hobbes, that a lot of adults, particularly grown-up artists, will probably say the same thing. It was about a little boy and his stuffed toy tiger, and he used to imagine the tiger was alive, and they used to have all these adventures together, and it was such a cute, funny comic. It was so good, and that really influenced me heavily. Garfield I mentioned as well. What else? The Far Side. I used to like the Far Side comics. I used to watch a lot of TV, like I said. That really influenced me. So yeah, there were a lot of things that made me want to make comics, and that influenced my style along the way.
Right, final one then is from Owen. Owen, it's up to you.
Hi, my name is Owen, and my question is, who is the hardest character to draw in Bunny vs. Monkey?
Who is the hardest character for you to draw in Bunny vs. Monkey? And then if you don't mind, I'll annex that by asking you to say the hardest character ever that you've created and why. So do his first.
The hardest character to draw, I always say, is Action Beaver, because when I do my workshops, I tell kids that you draw a circle for some of the characters' heads, and you draw a square for some of the characters' heads, and this is how you turn them into the characters. But Action Beaver starts with a circle, but then you draw another circle around it, and then you have to add, because he wears a helmet. You don't see much of his face. He wears this helmet, and it's got a lip to the helmet and what have you. So it can be hard getting his proportions right. I've drawn these characters hundreds of thousands of times now, but I still have to rub them out sometimes and redraw them and just to try and get them right. So yeah, I'd say Action Beaver is the hardest character I've ever had to draw. I don't know. I mean, one when kids come to signings and ask me to draw a character, and they ask for Office Monkey, who is in book 7 of Bunny vs. Monkey, where they jump through different dimensions, and they met a version of Monkey who was, he worked in an office, but he was huge and he was muscular, and so all his body proportions were different to what you would normally draw in Bunny vs. Monkey, are very different. So getting him right was always quite tricky, and even now I don't like drawing him, so please stop asking me to draw him. I'll do it, but please stop.
But you don't like to do it. Have you ever had a character in your brain and you think, oh, that would be really funny, and maybe you're on one of your walks and this character starts to form, and then you put pen to paper and think, oh, no, I can't draw that. Have you ever had that or not?
Not so much now. I remember certainly in my 20s, and like I'm 47 now, so I've kind of got my style, and I fit into my style quite easy. I know what's going to work and what isn't for me. But when I was growing up, I used to get so frustrated that what I was drawing wasn't like what was in my head. I used to get really, really angry at it, and I couldn't work it out. I'm like, I can see it, I can imagine it, but I can't get it onto paper. And the only way through that was just to keep going, just to keep plugging away at it. So if anyone feels like that, that's my advice. Like, we've all felt like that, but you keep going and you find a style, and then you kind of fit into your own style.
Right, let's do the books on the beach stuff. Give me the best holiday you've been on and the best book you've ever read whilst you're on. Are you a reader on holiday?
I am one of those people who packs books and then carries them around on holiday and then thinks, oh, I've only got 2 days left. I really wanted to read those books, but I'll just take them home with me now. So I do that a lot. I've been a lot better recently at reading books, but yeah, I need to get even better at it. Best holiday I've had, well, my birthday falls in July, and so if we had a summer holiday, it would always fall on my birthday. So one year we went to Disneyland when I was very, very young, and that fell on my birthday. So that was amazing. It felt like all the parades were for me, so I just convinced myself that. Best book I've read on holiday, I remember going to France as a kid, and France obviously has this incredible history and lineage of comics. Like they really appreciate it a lot more than other countries. And I remember going to shop and buying a book called Leonardo, and it was I think it was quite a popular long-running comic strip about Leonardo da Vinci, but it was like the comic antics of Leonardo da Vinci and all his inventions going wrong and what have you. And I read that book cover to cover on that holiday, like over and over and over and over again. And it was so funny and silly, and it was a comics industry that was really comfortable with what it was doing. It didn't need to apologize. It didn't need to go, sorry, these are slightly silly comics. It was just really, there was a confidence to French comics that I really liked. And so, yeah, I think that's the best book I've read on holiday.
Just map out then the rest of 2026 for us. Obviously, we've had Megalomaniacs. You've just done another Phoenix Fest because we recorded this a few weeks back. So what's coming for the back 6 months of this year? So we've just done Phoenix Fest, which was huge. I think the biggest one we've done so far. We do them every year. They're like this festival of comics where all the artists get together and meet kids, and then we live stream it as well, and we do comic workshops. Most of my events are in the first half of the year. Because I realised that I was kind of overbooking myself, so I tried to say, look, second half, can we not do so many, just sort of a few bits here and there. We'll have Bunny vs. Monkey book 13. Wait, 13? The next Bunny vs. Monkey book will be out at the end of this year, and we tend to do a big event around that, a big sort of a live show, and I really like making exclusive posters for it. You know, when you used to go and see a band and they would get a local artist to draw an exclusive poster for that gig. So I really like doing that. We do an exclusive poster, and it's a big draw along, it's a big celebration. So when the next Bunny book comes out, we'll be doing that. There is, what am I doing? I've got 1 or 2 events around, but I don't think they're confirmed yet. I don't think they're quite announced. And there will be other Hero Slam stuff coming out. And then the next year, there'll be Megalomaniacs book 2. There'll be Max and Chaffee, which is my sort of preschooler comic book series. Yeah, so I'm working on that at the moment. There'll be books 6 and 7 coming out next year. There'll be another special Bunny vs. Monkey book. There'll be Bunny vs. Monkey book 13.
I'm losing track now. There's quite a lot. There's quite a lot coming out next year, basically, and there'll be other events and things like that. So yeah, I'm a very busy boy, and it's great.
Well, I hope you get another nice holiday on your birthday this year. First of all,
I don't know if I will. No, because I'm actually this year I'm traveling a lot for work. So I've got a few sort of book fairs in different European countries I'm going to over the next few weeks and things like that. So yeah, I might be all travelled out by that point.
As a podcaster, I'm delighted you came on, but more so as a father, let me thank you from the heart for the joy and the laughter, the uncontrollable laughter you've brought to both of my children, and clearly to all the children that we've heard from on the podcast today, Jamie. It's a really special thing that you're doing, that you're able to share, and that resonates so much with kids around the UK and I would imagine across the world. So thank you very much for doing that, and thanks for coming on today.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. It's quite a lonely job making comics. You just sit on your own drawing fart jokes. So when people actually tell you, oh, no, I really enjoyed that, that means a lot. So thank you.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you. Honestly, I've really enjoyed it. And it's so lovely to be able to interview someone that's brought so much joy to the kids. So I really meant that at the end. That's genuine. And keep doing your thing, man. Keep doing it.
Thank you very much. And good luck with the podcast. I hope it goes amazingly.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, cheers. Take care, Jamie. See ya.
All right. Take care.
Cheers, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. The amazing Jamie Smart there. I hope you enjoyed that. And thank you if you were one of the many children that sent questions in for Jamie. I really appreciate that. Just while we're talking kids' books, we've had a book through that I got my eldest boy to read. So I wanted just to mention this at the end of this episode because he really enjoyed this book. And it's this. The review from my 10-year-old was that it was a real page turner. It was very funny, and if there was a sequel, he would definitely be buying it with his pocket money. So that's a decent review indeed. So I just thought I'd mention this because if you wanted another children's book maybe for your kids to get into, then this is something that my 10-year-old really enjoyed. Okay, if you've got anything to add, you can email me, phil@booksonthebeach.co.uk. There are more episodes coming soon, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and to all the audio platforms where we put these so that you don't miss a thing. I'll catch you soon.